Bases dropped on another round of soccer down here. Soccer's morning show. John here, Jarrett there. Jarrett is here for the first half hour, so we're going to kind of do this on the hop. Welcome to Happy Transfer Deadline Day for those of you who wish to celebrate in the European theater. And
but not in the American theater.
No.
It's open till April.
Yes, it's open.
So is Japan.
Yes. There are other countries that are still rolling. The U.S. is one of them.
So, our Red Diamonds are going to swear like a life, like it's going to be like they're going to swear like a life vengeance against us.
Yeah,
man, they wanted Yakumakis for like a month plus, and like 3 teams came in trying to get him, and Atlanta's going to get him. Man, they're going to hunt us down.
So you're saying don't schedule a preseason friendly against Urawa Red Diamonds?
You might have to just to chill everybody out, man. Like I think they're going to be sad. I don't blame them. I mean, you got a guy that you really want. You think it's a good fit for you, and then everybody and their mother keeps coming in, and it goes back and forth like 4 times because it's silly season, and then you end up not getting him, and it's disappointing. But maybe that can be your what springboards you into Urawa getting their own Joseph Martinez.
See, and this is the other problem, and you just mentioned it in your paragraph there. The difficulty of actually saying Urawa Red Diamonds.
Yeah, sound like Madeline Kahn in Blazing Saddles.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm already tired. And we just barely are starting. Transferred, yes. And so there will be. We did not have.
Good morning, all you degenerates.
Yes, we did not have Schnitzengruben for breakfast or anything yet. But
Schnitzengruben is my limit.
So right now, here's where we are. We're still awaiting the probable, anticipated bringing over of Yakumakis. Having apparently, allegedly, probably, maybe beaten Urawa Red Diamonds.
According to everybody and their brother in Greece and Scotland, it's happening. I think someone posted a picture that he was on a flight from the Netherlands to Greece.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's all physical stuff. I think that's why he went to the Netherlands, was for the physical. Maybe he's going home to Greece for a bit to get stuff, and then I would assume if it's Atlanta, then I assume that, have him meet you in Mexico.
Yeah. Just make sure that he gets you there.
Hey, Clay Boss. We'll get to that in 1 second, bud.
Yeah. So the last update we had was from Anthony Joseph and others that the deal has been agreed to, a little north of £4 million. Understood the initial fees, $3.5 million, $800,000 in add-ons. Agreed to personal terms. Had to finalize the move to the United States.
I thought this thing was going to come in north of $5 million. I'm not going to lie. The fact that it's like 3.5 with add-ons, like, okay, I can live with that. I thought it was going to come in north of 5 before you got into add-ons, because I thought it was going to end up in a bidding war. I'm surprised that it came in under 4 before the add-ons. Now, the add-ons do add to it. You're getting closer to 5, but I thought the price was actually going to be higher than that. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out, man.
Yep. So that's where we are. And Ricky Ricardo saying the work visa is what they are waiting on reportedly. And then about an hour before,
that might be why he went back to Greece. He might have had to go back.
Yeah,
for that.
You have to rework your paperwork. It's EU versus US might be entirely different paperwork. So we'll keep an eye on that. So everyone and their mother is reporting that probably, allegedly, maybe it is Yakumakis to Atlanta United. Then about an hour ago, Cesar Luis Merlo, Tier 1 source on a day like today.
S tier, y'all. This is Cesar and Garcia Grova are your S tiers for sure.
Yes. So Edwin Mosqueda is now a new reinforcement for our friends at Defensa y Justicia. Atlanta United gives them a 1-year loan with an option to buy. So Giacomakis in, apparently, probably, maybe. Mosquera, according to Cesar Luis Merlo, is now heading to Defensa y Justicia. So that's the news from Mosquera. So the speed of Edwin Mosquera is now going to be heading to our friends at DYJ.
And I'm interested to see how he does there. I liked what we saw from Mosquera when he was here. Dude's raw. I think he could grow into something really fun. And I want to say Defensa had been interested in him in the first place when Atlanta got him. I hope he's able to go down there and flourish. Now, here's the thing about this. I haven't had time to review how the U22, the initiative spots work. Now, I don't know if them paying a chunk of his salary clears a U22 spot or not. I have no idea if that's going to happen.
Right.
I also don't know how much of that is going to, impact what you have available to pay for a guy like Giacomakis, who is coming in as a designated player, allegedly. And if he's coming in as a designated player, then, what does it matter? Because at that point, you can pay him all the gold in
California.
In El Dorado. You can give him all the gold in El Dorado if you wanted to. So I have no idea how connected these two are.
Mm-hmm.
It might also come down. I've had a couple people ask me. I don't know. I don't know if it has something to do with Eric Lopez, because Eric Lopez is still technically, I'm pretty sure, part of the organization.
Yeah.
But he also, his name and number were not on the sheet of numbers for this year. So you loan him back out.
Yeah.
You're gonna let him walk. You find someone to take him. You're gonna eat it. I don't know. Eric Lopez is also a very good case, though. And I hope Eric Lopez does well in his career. I hope he's able to find a rhythm and have a really good career and do this professionally for a long time. I like to think of him as a good case study, though, for please quit hyping up 21-year-olds who have played 9 professional games.
Yes.
We talked about it at the time. Everyone got way out over their skis on him because he had played 9 professional games in his career.
Yep.
And I think he'd scored a couple of them, which is great. But don't get way out over your skis on a 21, 22-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid, 19, whatever the hell, however the hell old he was. Don't get out over your skis over someone who has only played a handful of professional games. You can be excited about them, but you don't have to expect the world of them in that moment.
Yep.
Some guys it just clicks, some guys it doesn't. But I hope it's a cautionary tale that we don't need to just go wild expecting greatness from somebody just because you bring them on an initiative. They're not always going to hit. It's part of the way the initiative is, that it's a little more forgiving than a full-on D22 DP spot to me. You want to hit on them because they are limited, so therefore they have some value due to scarcity. But they've actually, if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. And every team in this damn league has gone through that. So I hope he does well wherever it is. I don't think his future is here, though.
Yeah. So that's the latest news there. So that's where we are this morning, where Atlanta United is concerned. There is the metric-ish ton of moves that we're seeing for your favorite clubs over in Europe. We'll get into that in hour number 2. Also wanted to get into the U.S. soccer implementation of the Yates Plan, and we'll discuss that.
Do we want to hit on, real quick, the rumor about one George Bello?
Oh, absolutely. Go for
it. Allegedly. Sources are saying George Bello may be going to Birmingham City. Yeah, and please, God, get him out of Armenia Bielefeld.
Yes.
Oh, man. Please get him out of Armenia Bielefeld.
Yeah.
I understand he wanted to go there. I understand he wanted to go play in Bundesliga. Manager gets fired. And Burns touched on this before on the Twitch pitch, but I understand he wanted to go there. Manager gets fired. It doesn't work, man. Just go get a fresh start somewhere.
Yeah. Pete O'Rourke, 119,000 followers on the Bird app, is the one who is reporting Birmingham City making the late move for George Bello. And this broke in the morning in Europe, and it has once again just been reinforced. So we'll keep an eye on a possible move, cut price fee, after Bielefeld's relegation from the Bundesliga. So possibly George Bello going from Arminia Bielefeld to Birmingham City. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go forward. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Here's a question that Joe Johnston brought in this morning, and
all right,
this will be our fun exercise for the day. All right, so Joe, when he woke up this morning, as he was on his way,
he chose violence.
He did, actually. Here's his question: who would be your current Atlanta United starting 11, including loans, versus a starting 11 of former Atlanta United players, and how do you think it would go? And Joe, with those rules, I had to ask for a clarification, as did Mike, because Mike and Jason were also seconded on this. Including loans, according to Mike, is a huge caveat. Does that mean I can keep Barco with the current team? And Joe says, yes, anyone on the current roster who is loaned out is game for current players. So here's what Mike put together, and we'll start with the all-timers. And this is where I had, I needed my clarification, and I had one where I disagreed with him. So here we go. Here's the all-time, or the post current era starting 11 for Mike. Escobar, Garza, Parkey, LGP, Big Red, PT, Nagbe, Joseph, Almiron, and Gressel. That's 10 of his 11. I took Joe Johnston's rule and put Sean Johnson in net. Mike.
Oh my God, we're bending the rules. Hell yeah.
No, but no,
Sean Johnson. No, you're right. Sean Johnson was an Atlanta United player for 20 minutes. You are absolutely within your power to do this. I didn't even think about doing that. That's a good job of jumping through wormholes. I'm good for it, man. I am not mad at you at all. I'm impressed.
Yeah, so Mike had Alec Can. I had Sean Johnson in net for my all-timers. So here's Mike's 11 for the current day. Gazan, Lennon, Gutman, Miles, Air Force One, Sosa, Aruju, Barco, Jackson Conway, Almada, and Etienne. How do you view both of those lineups, and do you have any that you would change, probably specifically in the all-timers?
Okay, here's the thing about this. So here's a caveat whenever we do this. This is always a fun exercise, but I am not fun with these, because I will tell you, I am always going to choose the all-timers, because you can cherry pick through multiple years and put together an all-star team, which just on principle makes it better than what you currently have.
Right.
Atlanta, especially so, because at different points you had what is, and I swear to God, I will die on this hill, Miguel Almiron's the most underrated player this league's ever had.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn what you want to tell me now about, we liked him back then. No. Miguel Almiron is probably the most underrated player this league has ever had. Was absolutely absurdly talented. Joseph Martinez for 2.5 years, if you count the injuries, 3 years if you don't count them, in 2017, was on a scoring run that is unrivaled in this league. He was going to put Chris Wondolowski's record out to pasture. He still wants to. He got a long way to go to get to it now, especially coming off of knee injuries, especially if he's not going to be the same player he was. Right. He has plenty of time. It depends on how Joseph comes back physically. But if I got to do this, can I make changes to the all-time?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, like I said, yeah.
LGP is going out the airlock.
Okay. So then
it's not that I don't like LGP. I've said this before. 2017 and 2018 LGP was insanely underrated, and the LGP that was getting plaudits and love from the national media when he was in Miami, racking up almost a record number of yellow cards, those plaudits should have gone to him in 2017 and 18. He wasn't as good in Miami.
Okay.
Like he wasn't. He was still good, but he wasn't. He was not as good in Miami. That being said, I would rather take 2019 Miles and put him next to Parkey because I think 2019 Miles was, dude. 2019 Miles was absolutely. Go back and look at that. Like, go back and look at how many times that season where Miles is just bailing out LGP as he goes on walkabouts. Like Michael Bradley used to have to bail out Jermaine Jones in the midfield because Jermaine Jones didn't know what it meant to play a position. He just Leroy Jenkins around the entire damn field.
Okay, so Coco is saying that you're putting current Miles on the current team.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I don't know what current Miles is right now because I don't know what he's going to be like coming off a blown Achilles. But man, 2019 Miles was it for me. And it's not, and he's not miles better than like 2018 LGP. He is barely better than that. But man, 2019 Miles was just, he was filthy playing center back for that team.
Ed Reed, baby.
Yeah, man, that wasn't fair. LGP is still at River Plate. Ricky. Yeah, he's at River Plate. I don't know how much he's playing there. Sam, I'll hear that argument for Nagby being the most underrated player. I'll hear that.
Since he has been at River Plate, it's been 20 games since he has shown up on loan to River Plate with 1 goal on the board.
I'll hear that argument for Nagby for sure. Nagby was that dude who's like, he does the simple things. As I've said before, when you do the simple things well, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal until you stop doing the simple things.
Right.
And he does those little simple things really well. He doesn't lose possession. Takes care of the ball, takes care of everything. Yeah, Nagby's so good. Almiron, dude came in with a lot of expectations, lived up to them, and then went to England. And now that he has a manager that's not managing like it's 1893, is blossoming into the beautiful orchid we knew he could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where we're looking. It's like, legitimately with Mike, my only disagreement with Mike when he laid out his all-timers was in goal. And that's why I put Sean Johnson in and Alec Can did not. Hey, if you're on the roster for 20 minutes, that's where I was. It's like, hey, you were a part of this club, even if you were on your way from Concourse B to Concourse C. You were here. You were on the roster. You were part and parcel to it. So that was why I had Sean Johnson. But yeah, I agreed with Mike with the rest of his assessments for the all time. Escobar, Garza, Parkey, LGP, Big Red, Pity, Nagby, Joseph, Almiron, Gressel. But yeah, you've got your one switch of pulling out a year of Miles and inserting that in the all-timers for LGP.
Keeping Carlos Carmona on the bench, by the way, for that team.
See, that's where I thought you were going. I thought that you were going to take Carlos Carmona and put him in there instead of LGP.
Carlos Carmona was a metronome, man. He was good. That's a great grab out of Atalanta.
Parzival wasn't there someone on the roster for an even shorter amount of time than Johnson?
Clint Irwin was drafted in the expansion draft. Atlanta turned around and ransomed him back to Toronto for extra money. Also, another fun one is Danny Toya. They took Danny Toya in the expansion draft, turned around and traded into Orlando for the number 8 pick in the draft, which they used to take Julian Gressel because, remember, Atlanta United struck damn gold in 2017 with that expansion draft. Like, most teams don't hit like that. Miles in that draft, you got Gressel in that draft. John Gallagher was a year later.
Yeah.
You know who else was in that 2017 draft, though, who's an even better, like, really good grab in, like, the 4th damn round was Jack Elliott, who's a rock in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Philadelphia got the value they got out of that Jack Elliott pick is infinitely insane.
Yeah.
2017 Tito. Yeah, 2017 Tito was magical. By the way, Tito, I think I went over this a couple of weeks ago. Tito still can't stay healthy. Last check, let me pull up his transfer mark. Tito Villalba.
And Sam and Ricky say the street
market.
for both Zach Lloyd and Harrison Heath.
Harrison Heath, the only thing I remember about him is the awful giveaway against Miami FC in the U.S. Open Cup in 2017, where Quadropoku scored the game winner as time expired and knocked Atlanta out of the U.S. Open Cup. That was Heath's great contribution to Atlanta. Yeah, that was not great. Mark Bloom was also a part of that team.
Mark, absolutely.
Junior Burgos, Jeffrey O2. We're just getting into names now that are, man, we're getting deep.
Yeah,
we're getting deep in there now. But yeah, 2017 Tito when he was still healthy.
Sam Williamson, his father didn't want him.
What's up?
Sam Williamson reminding us that Harrison Heath's own father didn't want him.
Hey, Harrison's living a good life. I think he retired, but he's chilling at home, and he's married to Kaylin Kyle, who's going to be hosting studio for MLS on Apple TV.
That is true.
So I'm sure, and I think they have a kid.
They do.
I'm sure he's doing the dad thing, and I hope he's having a good time.
Yeah.
So far in actually 3 days ago in the Primera Division Apertura. Tito played 90 minutes and scored a goal. That's a great start for him. I hope he can stay healthy.
Yes.
Because last year, hold on, I'm pulling up last year for Tito. I saw Brandon Vasquez mentioned too, and I am going to lose my mind discussing Brandon Vasquez because I'm very happy for Brandon Vasquez for what he is. But this revisionist history about Brandon Vasquez is going to give me an aneurysm. Because when you lost him in the expansion draft, and I've gone over that a million times too, give teams more money in expansion draft losses other than $50,000 in GAM, Garber. Get the hell over it.
Yeah.
We give people more money than that, you cheap bastard.
Mm-hmm.
When you lost him, Joseph Martinez was coming off 2019, where he had somehow put together a season that in some respects might have been better than 2018. The numbers, he didn't put up as many goals, but he went on that insane stretch, and I thought he was a more complete forward. And Brandon Vasquez, it wasn't really a spot for him other than to be a backup guy, and maybe you could get another backup for cheaper. But he wasn't going to start here for sure because you didn't know Joseph was going to blow his Achilles or blow his knee up in 2020. If you had the crystal ball, if you had the Palantir, you'd have kept Joseph. For Tito's end of last season, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. I can't count, sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. He played in he missed 16 of the last 19 games.
Oof.
Unknown injury. Yeah, I still love what Tito is.
Yeah,
he is still a spark plug. He is an M80 firecracker with a penny tape to it, thrown into a highly populated lake, and I love it about him. Tito can't stay on the field.
No.
I hope that him scoring a couple days ago is the start of him staying on the field consistently and rebuilding his value, and maybe he gets a move out of Paraguay and gets to go, be a monster somewhere. I hope it does. But he's got to stay healthy, man.
Okay. You turn into a pumpkin right now, yeah?
Yeah. No, we're not going Brian Fernandez references. Yeah, man, Jacob Peterson scored against Kansas City. That's right.
That's true.
2017 was such a stupid year.
Yes, it was.
There's a lot of weird stuff that happened that year. 2017 was so dumb. Oh my god! But Brandon. I'm always up to discuss Brandon Vasquez, but it's going to give me an aneurysm of I can't believe they let him go. Joseph was in year 3 of what we thought was going to be a continuous run of dominance, and it just didn't happen. And Jesus, that sucks still to think about. Because you'd have kept Brandon Vasquez if you'd known that.
Yeah.
Again, expansion draft, kind of trash, and the value that players are valued at, kind of trash. Thanks, Steve Barber, you jerk.
Kinda. But so yes, so this is what happens when Joe Johnston gives us a question.
This is also Alex Tambak's erasure.
That's true. Yeah.
And Kyle Rainish, who played one game for Atlanta United and proceeded to get sent off.
Well, and then you got what, Paul the Wall, I think. You got Paul the Wall.
Christensen play for Atlanta United in an Open Cup game, maybe?
I think, yeah. I'm trying to remember.
Paul the Wall Christensen. I think he just retired, actually.
He did. He did just retire from his time in Greenville with the Triumph. So
shout out to him he had a good little run with them, and shout out to like Tim Bacchus for having a really good career in the USL Championship now.
Yeah. Signed a short-term deal May of 2018 to be included on the roster. Made his debut May 9 against Sporting Kansas City after Brad was sent off with the red. We all remember
even
that.
Better.
Well, and then but then there's another keeper that was a part of this process. Mitch says no.
Oh, man. Third keeper in 2018. They signed him they signed him the year after he put together that insane showcase in the U.S. Open Cup for Cincinnati when they were still a USL team.
Yeah, Mitch says no. Currently a coach for the Michigan Wolves Youth Academy. So, yeah, Paul the Wall, Mitch says no, Alec can, and Brad in 2018. So there you go. 70th overall selection in the 2018 Super Draft. Paul the Wall out of Portland. So I don't want you to get in trouble with the real world, but we'll be here probably for another hour or so. So if the real world calms down, we'll probably still be talking about this, by the way. Forget trade deadline. Forget transfer deadline day overseas. We're talking Mitch says no and Paul the Wall. And Ricky Ricardo just had Ben Lundgaard pop in his head. See what we've created this morning? So Jarrett will be listening, I guess. Yeah, so there goes Jarrett. See what you've done this morning, Joe Johnstone. You've created a rabbit hole that we've all gone down, and it's been absolutely hilarious to go down this rabbit hole. That's opening kickoff, and I imagine that we're going to be doing a lot of this morning. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to follow Kickoff Coffee on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Kickoff Coffee CO. Use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15, get 15% off of your purchase, and thanks to everybody who has been purchasing their Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so I know that we were blowing through a lot of stuff here this morning. So, all right, let's get into what you guys were thinking here. When we meet, and this is all the way back to the beginning. So, but thanks to the conversation that you guys have been having, I feel like this is the beginning of every show. Morning Kefsy, morning Sam, morning Ricky, morning Coco, Clayton. We've been discussing Edwin Mosquera. Kefsy, nothing wrong with the Blazing Saddles reference because Kefsy was then hungry for Schnitzengruben or Lilies or both. Coco, DYJ doesn't give us David Martinez. We give them Edwin. Seems fair. Coco, the U22 costs Atlanta around $200,000 in cap space. It's next to nothing. Don't know. Like I said, when it came to the U22s and trying to figure things out, don't know what the layout of the land is. So we'll keep an eye on that. KFC, Tyler Wolf is at the U20 camp with Caleb Wiley. So that's where he is right now. So we've got Caleb Wiley and Tyler Wolf waiting in the wings. So that's another part of this as well. Coco, you've done too much research on it. Pretty sure the MLS private police are coming for you. Parzival, think it's wild. MLS has all these crazy limiting rules on how teams can function. There's still questions regarding details around certain rules that do not seem to be clearly outlined. Yes, that is true, Parzival. There's a lot of rules with Major League Soccer that, I'd like to know what the cap number is. I'd like to know how all of these machinations and all of these different plugins work and figure out, okay, so if the length of the deal is this and you've got this, how much AM do you have? How much can you use? These kinds of things. There's a lot. there's a lot in play that we wish we had answers for. And, and I think that we would all benefit, and I'm talking fans, journalists, everybody. I think we would all benefit by having more knowledge about the numbers attached to Major League Soccer. Cap number, AM, all these kinds of things, U22, how does it apply? All these, because, if you think about it this way, I know that it drives all of us crazy. But if you were to think about it this way, if you have a team, if you follow a team in the NBA, if you follow a team in the National Hockey League, you follow a team Major League Baseball, in the other four big sports, there's probably a website run by somebody who is a complete and total numbers nick. And, he's just, these individuals just live for the salary numbers and they can plug all this stuff in. You've got trade generators for the NBA. You've got NHLnumbers.com where you can sit there and look at the cap numbers and see how it applies, who's over, how much space they have. We don't have that in Major League Soccer. We need that in Major League Soccer. So we all can be better informed on a day like today, where if you have clubs that are trying to deal in transfers over an ocean, what do they have to play with? What can Team X, what can Widget FC do on a day like today to help fill out their roster as they're heading to training camp and trying to work toward a successful playoff run in the Midwest Conference in Major League Soccer? How can Widget FC figure out what they need to do to get their roster full to have a solid starting 11? Well, Ricky, I would love for that. I would love for something like this to happen. Unfortunately, where you'd like an Apple show that'll talk about MLS financials and roster rules, I love it. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. Disappointing. Yeah, and Uncle, absolutely true. A little transparency goes a long way. A little transparency goes a long way here. But on days like today, where if you're an Atlanta United fan, Mosqueda goes to Defensa y Justicia, according to Cesar Luis Merlo, and you don't know the machinations of the deal. It's like you know that there's a player who is going someplace, but you don't know what your team has left to play with. You don't know what the salary numbers are and how things can be adjusted / negotiated. You don't know the wiggle room that you have to play with. That's a problem. A more informed fan base and a group of journalists would make days like this, training camps in general, it would make it easier to navigate. So right now, today, we're operating on the notion, frankly, just of Edwin Mosqueda to DYJ. That we got from Cesar Luis Merlo. What that leaves Atlanta with, don't know. But once all of these other moves come in place, yeah, that'd be nice, Tom. Yeah, it would be nice if they just simplified the rules and we didn't have AM anymore. We didn't have GAM, didn't have TAM, didn't have DTAM, the discretionary TAM, didn't have FAM, any future allocation money. Didn't have BAM, borrowed allocation money, anything like that. No FAM, no BAM, no GAM, no TAM, no DTAM, none of that. Or at least if you did, if we all had a set of rules of engagement that laid it all out for us to sit there and it's like, okay, here's what you can do. And here's what your team can do. And then you can sit there. Yeah, and that's the thing. Well, I don't know. Well, no, you would have AmFam because that's a sponsored thing. AmFam is okay because that's 2 words. FAM, if there's future allocation money, that might be bad. But if we knew how to allocate FAM toward AmFam, then we'd be okay. Yeah, it would be just AM. Yeah, I mean, just make it all AM. Just allocation money, period. Or just abandon the notion altogether. Don't know. I don't know, Tom, when the AmFam deal is up. But remember, AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo is on the 15th. The 15th of February. So we'll keep an eye out on that. It'll be see how the team has worked its way through training camp. And we have AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yes, wham, exactly. You've got, I'd love to know, if we had, what would jam be? It couldn't be generous allocation money. Or, will wham could be what happened to allocation money. Something like that. Tafka believes some kind of AM is needed. Practically no intra-league trading if it had to be done with actual cash, monetized cap space. Well, I think that you'd probably, maybe the younger players would be under your Garber Bucks ideas. If you had some kind of AM, it would probably be with the younger, less expensive players, and then you would still have the notion of the higher priced players that would be still a part of that. But yeah, Joe Johnston sending us down a rabbit hole this morning for the opening kickoff. And once again, the notion that that Garber Bucks and AM, we need to be more informed. Bart Lama, because big fan of the Lama. Big fan of the Lama, lower league allocation money allotment. Or is it Yama? Big fan of the Lama, especially for guys that you could see, maybe like a Damian Rodriguez, like we saw over the weekend up in Chattanooga. You could pick up Damian Rodriguez with Lama. And so that'd be kind of good stuff. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Will, oh baby. Yes. Let's see. I mean, Parzival, I will do part of the show in 20s radio voice. Flash. Yeah, I will do that. I can't do an entire show that way because then I wouldn't have any voice for the rest of the entire day. Reminder on the network, since we mentioned the rest of the day. Got a really cool 1v1 coming up, and I'll go ahead and tell you who it is. How many of you, show of hands, remember the United States winning the medal in curling? Show of hands. That's what I thought. Our 1v1 this afternoon is scheduled to be with John Schuster, the skip of that gold medal winning team. He is now part owner of Duluth FC in the NPSL. So we're going to catch up with Shuey, Shuey the owner. And he's in between competitions. So literally when we reached out last week, he was working. He was at a competition. So this afternoon, we're going to catch up with Shuey, find out about why he wanted to be an owner in the NPSL with Duluth FC, and that'll be posted later this afternoon. So spread the word, and we'll do all the curling. Yeah. So yes, we get Schusty. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was wild. Well, I mean, here's how it happened. So we are an official media partner with the NPSL. Yeah, no, it ain't no somewhere, Will. He already is geeking out. Bart is already geeking out. So as an official media partner of the NPSL, we get notifications from the league about expansion teams and things like that. And so also we're going to be catching up with our friends, the new franchise in Des Moines. And that's going to be a 1v1 that'll post to the network late Wednesday afternoon because we're catching up with them on signing day and editing that and posting that in short order. But the league was like, hey, Duluth FC has some new owners, and one of them is John Schuster. Would you like to interview him? And I said, well, duh. So we're catching up with him in between competitions, and that'll be posted later this afternoon. So it'll be fun to catch up with Schusty, soccer owner, and find out about his fascination with it, why, and what he's up to, what he hopes to accomplish up in Duluth. So that'll be a fun conversation to have with Schusty. That's coming up later this afternoon on the network. Also, later this afternoon, it is the beginning of the high school schedule for us. First day that you could schedule matches was yesterday. You could have scrimmages this past weekend. First day of competition was yesterday. The sprint begins. Our first game is this afternoon, scheduled for 5:30, weather permitting. I think it's Woodward Academy and Tri-Cities, just the boys match at 5:30. So keep an eye out on the network, set your notifications. So we've got in session, the high school show coming up tomorrow on the network. Today at 5:30, Woodward Academy and Tri-Cities, just the boys game. And also later today, Duluth FC's new part owner, John Schuster. So, Will, there you go. It is excited about Des Moines and their new club and the existing Menace. Low-key, very good soccer base, really fun, underrated city. And that's what I wanted to kind of talk to folks about when we talk to our friends up in Des Moines about the new franchise in the NP. So we'll keep an eye on that. And so good to know, Will, that you're a grad of the Woodward Academy system, class of 2005. So, yeah, so that was how. I mean, literally, the league always reaches out to us when they sit there and it's like, okay, we have an expansion team or we have a good story. Do you want it? And so it's like, well, yeah, of course we want it. So we'll keep an eye on that. Also, let's see, scanning through this morning, once again, remember Ricky's like for the rosters, the all-time versus present day. And I think that this might be lower scoring than folks think. If you've got Sean Johnson on one side and Brad on the other, might be lower scoring than folks think. But, you know, like I said, mine were Sean Johnson, Greg, LGP, Escobar, Gressel, Jeff Parking, Nagby, PT, Joseph, Miggy. Present day, and I agreed with Mike, and he posted it to Twitter, so look at Mike Conti 929. Brad Gutman, Purata, Miles, Lennon, Sosa, Almada, Barco, Derek Etienne Jr., Jackson Conway, Luis Aruju. So that's my starting 11. Go ahead and keep sharing what you guys are doing and pulling in from the all-timers. I know that you were pulling in years and things like that. So Coco, Alec Cannon, 17, top-notch, 18, Parkey, all MLS, 18 or 19, Joseph. Sam mentioning Nagby about being one of the more underrated, possibly the most underrated of all time in Major League Soccer. Michael Head thinks that the all-timers would win something like 6-0. 18 LGP could be a candidate on the roster. And Coco, yes, I think that you had some folks who were sitting there putting 19 miles and present day miles on either side. So that was, I guess, I don't know if you could parse individuals and take personalities from certain years and place them on one roster or the other, but some did. Yeah, there's the offer for, like I said, working my way through all of the conversation here. Sam Nagby's the Christian Eriksen of MLS. Word out of Manchester United is today. Speaking of Christian Eriksen, it looks like he is out until April with an injury. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go forward. So, and Parzival, we mentioned Clint Irwin. 2017, Tito and Brandon Vasquez, we mentioned that. We mentioned Zach Lloyd and Harrison Heath. Let's see. Jacob Peterson. Michael Head. Had to listen to that header on the radio as the electricity went out. You and your wife went crazy on the call, as you should have. No, Tom, we were getting into, it was a Blazing Saddles. We were getting into a Blazing Saddles reference this morning. So, yeah, so that's where the Schnitzengruben reference came in. Ricky, MLS on Apple launches tomorrow. Yeah, that's when you can start to get your subscriptions. I celebrated by watching season 1 of Ted Lasso last night. Again, dart scene, amazing. 4.5 minutes of television. MLS launches, hoping for kind of more promo. Looking forward to seeing what it'll all look like. Yeah, I know we all are. KFC, Mongo only pawn in Game of Life. Absolutely. Knicks. Hasn't seen anything from Atlanta United on how you access with season tickets yet. I'm guessing everything happens tomorrow. Let's see. So Tafka has his new era MLS roster rules for discussion on another day. Let's see. Lama. We talked about Lama. We talked about Schusty. Okay, David. And then we're officially caught up. So keep sending in your thoughts. Since we're talking Garber Bucks, have we discussed the new TV deal? How much of the Atlanta United specific Bally's deal did Arthur get versus the MLS single entity, and how is the Apple deal allocated? Is Atlanta United losing relative to other teams in this? Okay, so this is a polypart question. How much of the Atlanta United specific Bally's deal did Arthur get versus MLS single entity? Well, I mean, with Bally's, and David, feel free to keep commenting on the Twitch pitch if I go in a direction that you weren't looking for it to go. The deal with Bally's, I mean, everything ended, period. Everything ended when it came to the regional sports networks. They have their own problems. Looks like Diamond is going to be declaring bankruptcy because they are 8 double extra large in the hole on this deal, and it's not good. So remember when we were dealing with Bally's and Bally Sports South and Bally Sports Southeast, it was difficult to find them on a daily basis. It's like, okay, which one is it? And then you get the two confused. You end up going to the wrong network. And then sometimes you couldn't get access to one or the other because if you had Dish, if you had satellite, then it was going to be a problem trying to find where they were. And then you couldn't see it. And if it wasn't on your satellite provider, then you couldn't watch it, period. Then you had to figure out if you wanted to subscribe to the streaming element of it and pay an exorbitant fee for that. So, no, Bally's was more than Bally's. There were more. See now, all right. So hang on. Bally RSNs. I've got to do this because there were more franchises that had. All right. So get my home teams on Bally Sports. All right. So we talked about streaming options, and Sinclair really did not do well with this, and they're trying to look at what they had in all of their groups. So hang on. All right. So going through Great Lakes didn't have anybody. Bally Sports Kansas City, which used to be Fox Sports Kansas City. So Bally Kansas City had Sporting. Bally Sports North had Minnesota United. Bally Sports Ohio, I think, had Columbus, if I remember correctly. Sports Channel Ohio, Fox Sports Ohio. Fox Sports South had Atlanta United. Let's see. I think at one point, although not recently because it was over the air with the CBS affiliate, FC Dallas was on Southwest. So there were 4 or 5. There were 4 or 5 other regional sports networks that had associations with Bally's. So let me see if I can. I want to double check that number. I want to get this right. Atlanta wasn't the only one that was tied with all of the other things that were there. So Diamond Sports owned 19 regional sports channels, airing games of 42, and this is back in November. It's the end of the year. So adapting in the streaming era, renamed as Bally. So I think it was 5 others that had ties. Yeah, Minnesota, Columbus, Sporting. Yes, they were. All of those. Yeah, those. Yes, and yes was part of it as well. So NYC. So yes, David, Bally's had a few, and they were negotiated by the local teams. All of those were local negotiations with the local Bally's affiliate. So it was a partner that Atlanta United could pair with. and they weren't the only one. I don't know. I think if there was any kind of overage, if there was any kind of a profit margin, I don't know if the league took their percentage from the regional deals. The league had their deals on the national levels. I don't think that the league took any of the money that was associated with it when it came to the regional RSNs. And most of the time, those were even Steven zeroed out. And so there wasn't really any money to take if you were Major League Soccer in these cases. And in other RSNs, I'm fairly confident that it was either time buys or it was done, as literally it was just done as a 50-50 ad split, and you got what you got and we got what we got. You sell yours, I'll sell mine, and then it is what it is. So I don't know if there would have been a whole lot of money attached. And and Apple does, if my memory serves, the revenue is distributed evenly, like league, and then the revenue is distributed equally when it comes to the new deal revenue distribution. Like I said, I want to get this right. All right, so let's see if there's anything. All right, so from our friends at The Athletic, and of course it's not going to give it to me because it doesn't register on that particular device. Okay, so Sports Media Watch. Let's go here. $250 million a year considered a minimum payment under the terms of the agreement. Once the MLS streaming service subscriptions cross a certain threshold, Apple will share an undisclosed cut of the revenue with Major League Soccer. Between this deal and the expected completion of smaller linear TV deals, FS1, TSN, RDS, and the Spanish language provider, should be close to $300 million on a per club basis, including the upcoming 2019 in St. Louis and the expected addition of Team 30. Subtracting the estimated $2 million in production costs teams have typically spent, it should result in approximately $7.5 million a year. New deal represents, and this is once again Sports Media Watch, this is how they're describing it. New deal represents an enormous increase for the league. The last deal, technically at $90 million, included about $25 million for the rights to the U.S. men's national team games sold separately to Turner earlier this year. You're going from $65 million to $300 million. So it's a 450% increase in income. Starting with the new deal, MLS takes complete control of producing their games, the other content that airs on the streaming app. Local broadcasts, we know they're stopping. No games appearing on any RSNs. We mentioned the commentators, the content changes. So then in the analysis of the deal, we mentioned allows MLS to spend more money on the field. A key point is 6 of the 12 most expensive transfers came in the last 2 years. Programming, games were broadcast in 1080p, so full high def. MLS on linear TV, once again knocking out the RSNs. And risky move putting everything behind a paywall. Apple's business interest, $250 million a year, is 0.13% of Apple's iPhone sales in 2021, or 11.5 hours of iPhone sales. So it's the only the guess from Sports Media Watch is that it won't be the only thing that they dive into, because they've already done Friday Night Baseball and they could be chasing after other things. MLS Productions, estimating a $60 million a year on producing the games in-house, does not include upfront costs they'll undertake, since they'll have to build out that entire arm of the operation. And so then you end up with 2032. So that's from Adam Gostomelski from Sports Media Watch as to how all of that gets laid out. So it looks like you're looking at 7.5. We did kind of briefly, Tom, talk about Bello and Birmingham City, so we'll see what's there. No worries. So it looks like $7.5 million per team from the deal at Apple versus whatever you were trying to get or trying not to lose from the RSNs. So more money is always more money. Now we just have to work on Llama and the XAM and anything else that's attached to it as we continue to go forward. So it's all Apple, and you can sign up for it. You can sign up for it starting tomorrow, and so you will continue to roll forward and see what happens there. All right. So since it is now officially the top of the hour, it is time to lay things out in a promotional sense. So that means that I have to try to figure out where everything is on the levels, take it out of loop when it comes to the background music, take it all the way down to, what did we say, 12? Because it was loud. It's loud in my ear, and I've never adjusted my headphones, so I'm guessing it's loud to y'all. And tell me if the music's too loud so you can actually hear me read a promo. So I'm going to hit play on the rock, and here we go. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's the Lemonize Service. Lemonize Service, proud sponsor of everything SDH. QR code over my left shoulder. For those of you watching on Twitch. Deodorizing in enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. The Lemonize Service created a customized solution for the Lemonize all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize Service to eliminate bad odors and help them color their homes after return to the process. Find the environment offering a clean way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that we have either under the sink or above the sink coverage. This one we reach under the sink or above a sink coverage and grab that masking agent with Febreze that is called a masking agent. Because when you spray it in the air, you're masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem. Like our friends at the Lemonize do with the proven scientific formula that goes all the way down to the molecule. Price is very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any other questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go is the website where I pick up the pen. Website lemonize.com, but do us a favor after the .com goes /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world you are addressing them from, so they can help you attack your problem. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com. Thank you, Tom. Ellie, goodness gracious. Music's at 12. Music's at 12. So I moved it down to 9. Because remember, initially it was at 15? Music was at 15. Then it was loud. Moved it down to 12. Now apparently it's too loud all over again. Now it's down under 10. It's at 9. Thank you, Tom, as the veteran of radio that you are, telling me that everything is too loud when it comes to the music. So basically, the wording of the promo got washed out. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's lemonize.com, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. The Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH, people. There you go. Slam the music down. Get me all mad all over again. See, and that's the thing. Thank you. And like I said, veteran of radio that you are, Tom, thank you for letting me know that the music was too loud. Aye. All right. So in the, a bit hot. Well, but yeah. So, but the thing is I want you to hear the music as an underbed, and then I want you to hear me too. But if the music's too damn loud, you got to tell me that the music's too damn loud. You can hear me over, just a bit hot. All right. So maybe we'll go with 10 next time. Go from 15 to 12. 12 is too loud. Then I go to 9. Man, such moody systems when it comes to the levels of volume. Hour number 2, and thanks to everybody who has been hanging out. Well, yeah, and we can, and Nix will get into the NWSL and the U.S. soccer announcement on the Yates report that came out yesterday. I wanted to tackle that in this hour too. Honestly, if you got folks in the Bay Area and Boston that are really ready to drop $50 million, then more power to you. And hang on, we'll get into the details of that. My biggest question in a place like Boston is, where are you going to play? where are you going to play? San Francisco, Boston, Utah. League currently at 12 teams. Sandra Herrera yesterday over at CBS Sports mentioned that the Wall Street Journal report, 3 new teams joining the league in the future, beginning with 2 teams in 24. Utah, Bay Area, Boston, each paying $50 million in franchise fees. The league is not to that point yet where we're sitting there and we're going to say, yeah, we got 2 more starting in 24. League spokesperson, no announcement imminent. League remains, quote, engaged in the expansion process, excited about our prospects. San Francisco and Boston, this is intriguing, and I guess probably because of the Utah Royals past. San Francisco and Boston, according to the reports, are paying $50 million. Ownership in Utah will pay between 2 and 5. Once again, remember the Utah Royals were there, and the interest is there from the current owner of the Utah Jazz. David Blitzer, Ryan Smith back in 22. And remember, Royals go to Kansas City, become the current, and they're building their own facility there. They're building the stadium there in Kansas City that allowed to relocate. The transfers included the clause that would allow new ownership to reestablish the Royals' name and franchise at a later date with prior fees included. So Salt Lake City, Harriman, you might have Utah back by 24. San Francisco and Boston, according to Sandra, reflection of the current demand and valuation. League currently with 12. And Jessica Berman, commissioner, said during the championship final, stated there were 82 interested groups in the NWSL, expected 5 to 10 official bids after the process. League anticipates the 2 expansion teams to officially join in 24. Boston market integrated at a later time. 2023 NWSL regular season slated to kick off on March 25th on Paramount Plus. So we will see if we can effort Jen Hildreth to talk about the NWSL before everything kicks in with the 2023 season. But you look at it that way. Yeah, but you also want Knicks. Yes, you're fairly confident that Arthur's got $50 million in the couch cushions, but you also want. I mean, remember all the stuff that we've been talking about. Sadly, the last 6 months, where the NWSL is concerned, you want the league to be on solid footing. You don't want the turnover in coaches. You don't want all of the things wrong with the league. You want the league to get its head screwed on straight. I understand the pragmatism there. So I think it's right now. I mean, Arthur Blank has come on with national television, and he's come on with Mike and Jason and said, and he's dropped the NWSL without even being prodded. It's like he has dropped that as an idea. I think what you've also got to do is you probably have to build more infrastructure, and you've got to have training facilities. You've got to have everything laid out. You've got to make sure, and because as we all know, Arthur Blank is not going to do something where it will not be top notch. And Bart, this goes back to our plan for renovating Herndon Stadium on the campus of Morris Brown. It goes exactly into that. That's exactly where we are. Yeah, and David, you're right that you're not the only one. I suspect Arthur wants to wait for them to finish flushing down their issues before committing to it. Tafka, De La Fuente to Hull City on loan with an option to buy. And that's going to be an option to buy, and I don't know if Hull City's got the capital to do it, but we'll see. Not lately. Michael, he has not said anything about the NWSL lately, but once again, you want the NWSL to sort through their issues that we talked about here, sadly, too much on the show, and then go from there. So that's where you are with the NWSL. I guess since we're there, we'll go ahead and talk about the Yates plan. I know that we've got some transfer stuff that we can get into as well. Because we got a lot of the transfer news that's been going on today. Follow your tier 1 sources and follow your favorite clubs. keep an eye on all of that stuff. Okay, so yesterday, U.S. Soccer announced the detailed plans for implementation of Sally Yates' 12-participant safety recommendations. Oh, by the way, do you know that Soccer House is for sale? You got $4.2 million. You can buy Soccer House in Chicago. U.S. Soccer announced plans for implementing all 12 of the recommendations made by Sally Yates following her independent investigation. A key element of the Federation's plan is the new Safe Soccer program, which will redefine the process, and this is wording from U.S. Soccer. Redefine the processes and criteria used to determine eligibility to participate in soccer in the U.S. by creating a thorough, continuous vetting system that will simultaneously prohibit bad actors from participating in our sport while identifying high-quality individuals. This will transform U.S. Soccer's approach from simply red lighting bad actors after an incident has happened to green lighting them before they begin participating in the sport, which will prevent potentially bad actors from ever having a role in soccer. The program will include safety training, annual verification of background and contact information, and background checks. Compliance with the new program will be a multi-year journey, first being piloted by U.S. Soccer and staff, select members before expanding to U.S. Soccer licensed coaches and referees, and later to all adult participations in the ecosystem. Yates Implementation Committee of the Board of Directors has worked with U.S. Soccer's Pro League Standards Task Force to propose amendments to the Pro League Standards, which govern all professional soccer leagues affiliated with the U.S., including MLS, NISA, NWSL, NASL, USL. Proposed updates to the Pro League standards were developed in collaboration with the professional leagues and would mandate additional safeguarding protections, including but not limited to requiring that each professional league and team has a player safety officer responsible for ensuring compliance with player safety standards, requiring professional leagues to provide annual safeguarding reports to U.S. Soccer, ensuring all professional leagues employ dedicated HR professionals, requiring professional leagues to train coaches and staff on topics such as verbal and emotional abuse, sexual misconduct, harassment, and retaliation, requiring professional leagues to conduct annual player feedback surveys, prohibiting the use of non-disclosure and non-disparagement agreements used to shield information about abuse allegations, and requiring all professional leagues to report any allegations of misconduct or issues of abuse to the Federation in a timely manner. U.S. Soccer expects the amendments to the Pro League standards to be voted on, finalized at the Board of Directors by the Board of Directors during the AGM March 16th and 17th. NWSL is implementing systemic reform ahead of the start of their season. U.S. Soccer and the NWSL have collaborated to implement many of the Yates recommendations. Specific actions U.S. Soccer has taken or is taking in response are listed below. Yates recommendations 1 through 12, and there's a lot of them, but that's the basic elements for what U.S. Soccer has for their implementation of what's going on. I'll go ahead and post the link there for all of this stuff involving the Safe Soccer program, proposed updates to Pro League standards, participant safety hub. There's a new page on the soccer website that houses participant safety resources and policies, and it will continue to be updated regularly by the Participant Safety Task Force. So that's where we are with that. There's a lot to sort through with that and how the NWSL and U.S. Soccer are taking the recommendations from the Yates report and going forward. I'll post it here in the Twitch pitch. And so that is your requested required reading today. So that's what you're staring at from yesterday when it comes to U.S. Soccer. Also on the board this morning, I know that you guys are going back and forth looking at no, Nick, bad actors. No Steven Seagal. Absolutely not. No Jean-Claude Van Damme. No Steven Seagal. None of that stuff. Billy Zane. That's another one. Uncle, and this goes to, but once again, this goes to information and what we know and what we don't. I think that if we had, and think about all the outbounds that we've had so far this year. Emerson Hyndman, Alan Franco, Marcelino Moreno, all of those, all of that. Now Mosqueda to DYJ. We don't know what we don't know. And you're trying to clear space to bring in other folks, but once again, I mean, we could sit here and try to go, well, if this, then this, but once again, the lack of transparency by Major League Soccer is not helping when it comes to what you hope your favorite team is doing or is able to do. And you've got teams that can operate under the cloak of invisibility right now. Well, but once again, and Uncle, once again, to your point, it's not the first one that has happened. And so it's not the only thing that's happened. When you can bring in a player, you can spread it out over the life of a deal. So the money isn't, then once again, we don't know. The money doesn't look like it's adding up in your zero-based budgeting and doing what you're doing. But like I said, we don't know. We can sit there and make all of these assumptions across the board all morning long and until your favorite cows come home. But remember all the outbounds that we've had so far. Right. So we've had all of these outbounds, and we don't know what we don't know. I mean, it is a thought to have. I'm not discounting it. I'm not discounting what you're saying, Uncle, but what I'm saying is we don't know what we don't know. And we don't know what the cap situation is. Atlanta traditionally has been a team that has gone right up against the cap, whatever that cap is, because you want to have all of your players, you want to have your number one roster, and you want to be right there up against it to try to compete. And we don't know what has zeroed out from that point. And like I said, that's just my one point of wariness in all of this. Like I said, Atlanta traditionally has gone right up against the cap. I mean, they're like the Detroit Red Wings in the good old days when it came to the NHL or whomever, Pittsburgh, Washington, take your pick in the NHL, right up against the top of the cap. And so we'll see, we'll see what you're staring at, but, so we'll see what, we'll see what it is. My guess is you'll be probably right up against the cap with wiggle room, and you'll have to work on loans and things like that to try to make things happen. But Atlanta traditionally has been right up against the top of the cap, whatever that number is, and whatever machinations are there. So, like I said, we've got outbound, we've got inbound allegedly. So we'll see what it looks like, and it wouldn't surprise me, in any kind of and if there's any kind of disclosure made, that you're right up there against it. But that's just how it's what it's always been. So that's where you are with your look of the cap. And I know I'd like to be more informed when it comes to where things are, so we would all know the kind of wiggle room that you have and the machinations that you have to sit there and say, well, okay, we have this much cap space, we can do this, or we can do this, or we can do this, or we have to do something externally and work it forward. But it's been part of the discussion that we've had all morning. And, that's kind of where we are when it comes to cap. And I know we're all going to sit here and talk about who you can bring in, who you can't, what you got, what you don't have. But once again, you're rolling forward. All right. So Goss, yeah. And I know. But that's the thing, Emilio, I'm not the kind of guy. I like to work through as journalistic, what we know. I want to be as journalistic as possible. I'm not a fan of speculation. I never really have been. I mean, we can lay out scenarios, but I prefer to go on what we know. And it's not, like I said, because of the salary structure and all of your machinations being under the cloak of invisibility, it's hard to sit here and say what you can and what you can't and what you have and all of these slots that you have available. You know your slots, you know what you have to fill out a roster, but once again, not knowing the monetary element of it all. That's the part that's always, oh, I know. And I'm just and I know, Emilio, I know we all have worked in the business world in one manner, way, shape, or form, and we all know how, in theory, you got to stick to your budget. You don't want to work at it. You don't want to operate at a loss, and all of that, stuff. And I'm glad that we have figured out that spell check and typing things is. Well, but and Tom, I think you might have been right. He wasn't poot or poor. So, but no, it's yeah. Morning, Alex. But just like I said, I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm not a fan of jumping through ideas and trying to fit. And I know, well, yeah, and so. And I know Nick's. Nick's. You're tired of hearing about how hard it is to build a team and do business when everyone else seems to figure it out. But like I said, we have these discussions all across every single year. But no, I'm glad that we get the chance to talk it out every single morning when it comes to what we're doing. But I'm trying to think what else was on the board this morning. Oh yeah, like I said, we'll wait on the Yakimakis news and other stuff. I can't remember, Alex, if Colorado won the West without a DP. Yeah, football, exactly. Morning, holy zoinks. Also, all right, so today is transfer deadline day, and we've got a lot to talk about overseas. And once again, follow your tier one sources, follow your tier ones everywhere. So here we go with what we've got. Looks like Manchester United and Chelsea made inquiries on Sabitzer. United would prefer a loan move. Arsenal signs Jorginho. Looks like they're going to sign him to an 18-month deal for $12 million. Joao Cancelo completes the loan move to Bayern Munich. Matt Doherty's leaving Spurs for Atletico. Pedro Porro has flown in. Chelsea's close to Chelsea. I mean, if we thought Roman Abramovich was spending money because he could spend money, what about Bowley Clearlake? 105. They're close to an agreement for 105 million pounds. I don't know if there is a above tier one for above Fabrizio Romano, but I mean tier A plus. You got A plus and A plus plus maybe. Chelsea and Bowley Clearlake dropping 105 million for Enzo Fernandez. I mean, it's great business if you're Benfica, but 105 million pounds. I mean, Bowley Clearlake, they're just spending money. Yeah, and that could be. I think, Nick, you're spot on. Only tier above Fabrizio Romano is the team announcing it. So, yeah, all the here we goes. We'll keep an eye on all of that today. But 105 million for Enzo Fernandez, just because. It's like, no, it's like Todd Bowley and Bowley Clearlake, they want all the toys. Absolutely, they do. And they're just going to, it's like, yeah, how much is that toy? Okay, great. It's like they go in, it's like Bowley Clearlake in Chelsea. It's like going into Sharper Image or give me another one. FAO Schwartz. It's like Bowley Clearlake just go into Sharper Image. No, they don't. And Coco looks like they might be changing the rules of FFP to 5 years instead of 3 because of the deals like Chelsea signed with Mudryk for 8. And so now it looks like FFP might go to a 5-year deal instead of a 3-year deal because of deals like Mudryk. Chelsea goes into Sharper Image, basically buys the remote operated helicopter and the vibrating chair because they can. And now they're just, it's like, yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that. We'll take that. It's like walking into the restaurant, staring at the menu going, yeah, I'll take the left page. And they're not stopping. Man, you got to be writing all this stuff off somehow as a business loss. Ben Ransom reporting a late move because of the injury to Eriksson. The ankle injury that he sustained against Reading out until the end of April, May at the earliest. So maybe chasing after Sabitzer. Dembele to swap Bournemouth for O'Shea. So O'Shea set to sign Siriki Dembele from Bournemouth on a loan deal. No buy option in the agreement. No breakthrough yet in the Fernandez talks at 105, so that's currently where we are. Anthony Gordon, Harrison Ashby introduced to the crowd later today for Newcastle. Portsmouth completed the signing of Deshaun Bernard on loan for Manchester United for the remainder of the year. West Ham has signed deals. Nathan Opoku signs for Leicester, going out on loan to OH Leuven. 21-year-old Ghanaian striker out of Syracuse. Kirsty Edwards says Brendan Rodgers will hope he'll be getting plenty of goals over in Belgium, getting ready. Maybe we'll see here at Leicester next season. For now, though, once again, Kirsty Edwards at Sky. What Brendan Rodgers hopes is we'll see a season with a new center back progressing nicely. Player that Rodgers has been after all January, Harry Suter. Did well for Australia in the World Competition. Everton, West Ham, and Leeds inquired about the possibility of signing Calvin Phillips on loan from Man City this month, according to the three-letter paper. We'll keep an eye on that. Isco, Union Berlin, on the verge of collapsing on the deal after medical tests in the morning with the German club. Conditions of the deal have changed compared to the initial discussions. So we'll keep an eye on that. Joao Cancelo denied a rift between himself and Pep Guardiola was the reason behind the exit. Speaking in Portuguese, said it's like this, exactly for this, that I looked for a change because of the limited minutes I had in the last few weeks, nothing to do with my relationship with Pep. Nathan Opoku, once again, remember Syracuse, first draft pick in MLS, turned down the chance to be the first draft pick in MLS to join Leicester. Man United confident of the completion of the Sabitzer deal. But Uli Köhler from Sky Germany wonders if Sabitzer can replace Eriksson. Remains to be seen. Also, within the last hour in Scotland, Hearts boss Robbie Nielsen providing an update on what could be happening there for Hearts as they chase European football. Also on the board, Vitinha has chosen Marseille over Southampton. So he's going from Braga to Marseille instead of Southampton. I probably would too. Posh have signed Chesterfield frontman Kabongo Shimanga for the rest of the year in the lower divisions. Fulham and Fulham or Newcastle are chasing after Sander Berge from Sheffield United, but it looks like he'll remain at Bramhall Lane through the summer. Eddie Nketiah saving Arsenal a lot of money. 2 bad games, you'd be buying a center back in the window for 50 to 70 million. Got his break. Tom, Paul Merson is worried about you as well. Quote, I really worry for Everton. They've been completely and utterly weakened. Lad's gone to Newcastle, meaning Anthony Gordon. Didn't completely agree with that. He wasn't pulling up trees at Everton, but it was still another weapon for him. If he clicked like he did at the end, I do worry for Everton. No disrespect to all the teams at the bottom. There's one team I don't want to go down. It's Everton. So we'll keep an eye on that. Barcelona has proposed a loan deal for Sofian Amrabat from Fiorentina. Barca proposed an expensive loan, €4 million, £3.5 million, option to buy. Fiorentina have refused because they value him more because they can't find themselves a replacement. So it's now down to Barcelona to possibly raise the offer. Harry Suter's deal, permanent, almost done at £15 million. We'll keep an eye on that. Once again, that's Fabrizio Romano. Also, John Joe Shelvey to Nottingham Forest. Who isn't going to Nottingham Forest? Really? Who isn't going to Nottingham Forest? Adriano Savali, 10,000 followers, updating the Mosqueda situation. So here are the numbers. Loan for a year from Atlanta United, charge and purchase option, according to Savali. Once again, this is one source. $2.7 million for 70% of the pass. He's in Medellin, and he has to travel tomorrow. So that's from Adriano Savali on the deal with Mosqueda. So 1 year loan first, purchase option at 2.7 for Mosqueda. So we'll keep an eye on that. But if you end up with a deal like that for Mosqueda, does that mean that that Luke Brennan's stock is increasing. Something to keep an eye on. All right, so getting into what you guys are looking at, I think Lukaku, he's on loan. So bold predictions, can't imagine. U.S. college kid. Oh, good Opoku discussion. Very well done. Yeah. Coco, Forrest pretty much is signing everybody. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, and if Sean Dyche manages to keep you up, I think he does. You can get a statue built for that, definitely. So keep an eye on there. But I mean, keep this in mind. If you're seeing Mosqueda out, and we know about the development of Atlanta United players from the time that we've spent with Atlanta United too, and when I was in Chattanooga on the weekend, if you go back and listen to that show, listen to the post-game comments of Gonzalo Pineda, incredibly high on Luke Brennan. Does that mean that Brennan could be getting a homegrown deal? Something to keep an eye on. So, once again, if you feel comfortable with Noah Cobb, you feel comfortable with Luke Brennan, you feel comfortable with a Johnny Fortune, with what you're building from your academy, then the moves of Mosqueda outbound apparently for $2.7 million a year the first year, and then 2.7 plus a percentage of sell on, that kind of stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go. Also, the deal has so once again, updating Fabrizio Romano as of 6 minutes ago, the Enzo Fernandez deal has not collapsed. So 105 million just because. I mean, literally, that's what it's turned into. Just cause. Yeah, I want to. Just cause I want to. All right. Other rumors that we have here on the day. So we'll go to our friends at the BBC. Once again, remember that you can keep an eye out all day long. I think Peacock is simulcasting the Deadline Day show starting at noon. So we'll keep an eye on that all day long. All right, Arsenal considering a late bid for Yuri Tielemans. PSG hopes to sign Hakim Ziyech on loan for the rest of the season. Thought to prefer a switch to France rather than joining another English team. Harry Maguire turned down a loan approach from Inter Milan, but will reassess his position in the summer. Spurs have edged close to signing Pedro Porro for €45 million from Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon will replace Porro with Hector Bellerin from Barcelona. Manchester United received 10 loan offers for Anthony Elanga. Dortmund, PSV Eindhoven among the clubs interested. Red Devils boss Erik ten Hag reluctant to let the 20-year-old leave. Liverpool could make a surprise move to bolster their midfield by signing N'Golo Kante, who's out of contract this summer. Spurs fullback Jed Spence said to head out on loan to Rennes for the rest of the season. Bournemouth close to agreeing to a fee with Sassuolo for midfielder Hamid Traore. Also in talks with Dynamo Kyiv over 20-year-old Ukraine defender Ilya Zabarny. That's from the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Leeds, who brought in Weston McKennie, loan for the end of this year, possible purchase option after, inquired about signing Nicola Zaniolo from Roma. Southampton agreed to the Vitinha release clause, £26.2 million. Newcastle, Sheffield United, Sander Berger, we mentioned that one. Forest also closing in on the signing of Atletico Madrid defender Felipe, since he's lost his place in Diego Simeone's starting lineup. Leicester tabled a £15 million bid for Stoke Australia defender Harry Suter. Fox is interested in Jack Harrison, but their Danish defender Yannick Vestergaard and Kalier Soyuncu also available for transfer. Nix, it sounds like a busy day. While Fulham closing in on Sasha Lukic from Torino, Cottagers still have details to sort out around the signing of Arsenal and Portugal right back Cedric Suarez. Charlie McNeil, Manchester United, in talks to join League Two side Newport County on loan to Sean Bernard, discussing the League One move to Portsmouth. We talked about that. Looks like the Bernard move is official. Everton want to sign at least 2 attacking players on deadline day. So, Tom, this is what you have to look at, you and Ropes. Ren, Ghanaian winger, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Coventry striker Victor Gyökeres, Newcastle winger Ryan Fraser, Manchester United Sweden forward Anthony Elanga. That's from the Liverpool Echo. Toffee's also targeting Union Berlin's Surinamese striker Geraldo Becker and Ghanaian striker Andre Ayew, who's a free agent. That's the four-letter paper as well. Norwich close to signing 19-year-old Brazilian winger Marquinhos on loan from Arsenal until the end of the season. Leeds willing to listen to offers for Jack Harrison. Leicester considering a bid. So that's where we are with the gossip. Yes, 2. So keep an eye. Yeah. So yeah, it might be a busy day, Tom. Just between now and 7, you got to keep an eye on stuff. Once again, reminder: the 1v1 coming up with John Schuster later today from Duluth FC, co-owner. Yes, that John Schuster. Curling's John Schuster, now co-owner in the NPSL. That will be up later this afternoon. Also on the board, beginning of our high school football season, 5:30 start, boys game only. Woodward Academy, Tri-Cities, that's here on the network. So keep an eye on that as well. And classes in session tomorrow. And that's with Jason, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, going through everything going on in the world of high school soccer as our sprint continues. Now, also, Barcelona, according to Fabrizio Romano, we mentioned Sofiane Amrabat. Barcelona can include an obligation to buy clause into the Amrabat deal with Fiorentina due to FFP. Fiorentina are not accepting a loan with a buy option. It's not mandatory. Barca looking for an opportunity. They can't do any 30 million euro, 40 million, or 30 million to 40 million euro deal. So Amrabat cannot have and include an obligation to buy clause in the deal with Fiorentina because of FFP. Way to go, Barcelona. Can't get it done. That's Barca, but what a surprise. Now, that's the thing, So we'll see. That's going to be a really interesting day. Let me know what else is on your collective minds. We mentioned McKinney still waiting on Giacomakis. We anticipate it's because he had to go back to Greece for visa and ITC so he could join Atlanta United. Edwin Mosqueda to Defensa y Justicia, and the deal is trickling out there. A couple of did you sees before we go. It looks like the winner of Wrexham and Sheffield United in the replay is going to get Spurs in the 5th round of the FA Cup in the round of 16. They kept all the big names apart from each other for this round. Also on the board, did you see, and I know that this will come as a surprise to a lot of you, tongue firmly planted in cheek, from our friends at Sports Pro. They announced, or they had on their social medias yesterday, that there is a sponsor for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. It's Visit Saudi. Saudi Arabia Tourism Board set to sponsor the women's national team tournament in Australia and New Zealand. December 2021, this is once again according to The Athletic. December 2021, FIFA introduced a new commercial partnership structure permitting brands to agree to sponsorship deals exclusively centered on the women's soccer tournaments. Governing body subsequently partnered with Visa. Australia's Commonwealth Bank also came on board as an official supporter of the tournament. The Athletic now reports Visit Saudi will also become an official partner of the 2023 World Cup. Saudi Tourism Board's most high-profile sponsorship after the brand ambassador agreement signed with Lionel Messi last year. In 2018, and this is from Sports Pro Media, the Arab nation allowed female soccer fans to attend matches for the first time in its history as a part of a number of reforms made to try to modernize the country. 2 years later, unveiled the Saudi Women's Premier League, the first domestic competition formed in women's soccer. Saudi Arabia women's national team was established late last year. debut with a friendly over the Seychelles last February. Earlier this month, they hosted and won a 4-team women's international friendly tournament just after FIFA had appointed the country's first female international referee. Amnesty International UK's head of priority campaigns and individuals at risk, Felix Yakins, told Sports Pro, quote, "The rolling crackdown on human rights under Mohammed bin Salman has seen brave women's rights defenders like Loujain al-Hathloul jailed, tortured, then banned from speaking publicly or leaving the country. So this latest reported effort to sports wash the country's appalling human rights record is both breathtaking and yet entirely predictable." After Cristiano Ronaldo signing the purchase of Newcastle United, the LIV Golf Series, and the country's hosting of numerous high-profile sporting events, Saudi Arabia's use of sport to try to mask its terrible human rights record is now a depressingly well-established pattern. Paragraph. Women in Saudi Arabia face serious discrimination in marriage, divorce, inheritance, and child custody rights, while Saudi women who've dared to speak out about the need of reforms in the country have received massive jail sentences. Saudi Arabia's deep pockets mean that sponsorship partnerships like this are probably going to become more common, but without human rights reforms to match the sport and entertainment packages, Saudi Arabia will rightly be accused of pursuing a cynical sports washing agenda. FIFA should speak out about the need for human rights reform in Saudi Arabia and not merely allow its premier women's tournament to be used for sports washing, while players, coaches, and fans should likewise challenge this crude exploitation of their sport by Saudi Arabia, end quote. So, so Visit Saudi is going to be sponsoring the Women's 2023 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. So that came across our bow yesterday as well. Indian Express. I didn't know if you guys saw this. It was a note on CR37, and once again, it's from Indian Express, so really don't know how much credence you can have into it. It's kind of like the 3 and the 4-letter papers. So yesterday, there was a sports story that came out involving CR37, and it came out on the Indian Express. So let me find the article really quickly, and it has to do with apparently some of the folks who are fairly well off in the country, less than pleased about the return on investment that you're getting from Cristiano Ronaldo and what he is not doing currently for Al Nassr. So going through the search engine. Okay, so here we go. It's a viral video. It came from the sports desk at Indian Express. Following a 3-1 loss to Al-Ittihad in the Saudi Super Cup last week, Cristiano Ronaldo has been facing flack for his non-performance so far. In yet another viral video on social media, once again, like I said, this is Indian Express. Take the information for where it is. An alleged Al Nassr director is said to have expressed his frustration about the result. Quote, "Get out of here. I spent 200 million euros and he only knows how to go see you. It's not possible." The man who is said to be the Al Nassr director can be seen as saying, and they have the video posted. It's a screen grab of a TikTok video that went viral. Earlier, fans have already shown their frustration after the team were eliminated midweek from the Saudi Arabian Super Cup. Videos of some fans trampling on his number 7 shirt outside King Fahd International Stadium have also appeared on social media. The viral videos led to suggestions some Al Nassr fans are already growing impatient. Rudy Garcia has said, the manager at Al Nassr said the 37-year-old will make his return back to European football. Quote, "Cristiano Ronaldo is a positive addition as he helps to disperse defenders. He's one of the best players in the world. He will not finish his career at Al Nassr. He will return to Europe," he said in a press conference. Sure. Whatever you say. Not happening. Don't know, Will. I mean, we have the Luis Abram news that's out there when it comes to life at center back. So you have Giakoumakis and Abram. Those were the 2 names that have been floated so far in this window. So we'll keep an eye on what we're looking at when it comes to those 2 for Atlanta United. Catching up with life in MLS, Tommy Scoops has had a busy day, couple of days, really. Orlando City, the purple team has signed Icelandic midfielder Dagur Dan Thorhalsson, okay, from Breiðablik. 22-year-old 4 times in the senior squad, 18 goals, 11 assists, 118 professional appearances. Helped Brede Blick win the first division title last year, played in Norway and Belgium. And a positive quote from Luis Muzi, Orlando's EVP of soccer operations and general manager. So 2 sentences from him. Depth in the central midfield containing Peruvian Wilder Cartagena and Uruguay youth international Cesar Araujo. Free agency, they signed Felipe Martins after Junior Urso went back to Brazil and Andres Pereira was traded to Philadelphia Union. You're looking at Martin Ojeda, U22's Ramiro Enrique from Bonfield, Rafael Santos from Cruzeiro, brought back Pedro Gallese and Mauricio Pereira. So there's that. Nottingham Forest made an offer for Brenner, but apparently that went south pretty quickly. So Brenner is looking for an out. Nottingham Forest was looking to make an offer, and apparently that fizzled out fairly quickly. The Rapids also signed Australian international left-back Alex Gersbach. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And don't forget, coming up soon, Seattle's first Club World Cup appearance. So we'll keep an eye on that. Tommy Scoops also talks continued on Brenner Tuesday night. Brenner wants to go, trained by himself on Monday. Udinese made an offer for Brenner earlier in January. PSV Eindhoven had interest. Cincinnati may revisit a transfer in the summer, so we'll keep an eye on that. Chicho Arango, have to keep an eye on that one. Subject of a bid of around $3 million from Al Ahly. A couple weeks ago, LAFC was asking for more than double that, so we'll see if that happens. Sifu, Jose Cifuentes, looks like he might be chased after with a move to Europe. Julian Araujo, this one was interesting. Barcelona in talks with him for Julian Araujo. Far from done, situation fluid. Serve as cover for the first team, could see minutes with Barca B, who are managed by Rafa Marquez. So keep an eye on Araujo leaving the Galaxy. Jose Martinez, Besiktas had 2 bids rejected by Philadelphia Union. Talks have cooled off. Turkish window, remember, goes for another week. Goes to February 8th. So we'll keep an eye on that. Kai Wagner, remember, there's been talk with Bologna. Bologna owns, Joey Saputo owns Bologna and CF Montreal. Current contract expires after the 23 season. There's talk of another deal. Another extension for Kai Wagner. So keep an eye on that. So there's a lot of stuff going on with all of these folks. Austin FC signed Amro Tarek after a stint in Egypt. You remember Amro Tarek with his time here in Major League Soccer with Red Bulls, Orlando City specifically, but he also spent time with Crew. He was a free agent. So signing for Austin FC, Amro Tarek. Patrick Klimala looks like he is transferred to Hapoel Be'er-Sheva and maintaining a sell-on fee there. So he's been transferred to the Israeli Premier League, opens up a DP spot for Red Bulls. And in his 2 years, in Klimala's 2 years with Red Bulls, Israeli Premier League runners-up last year, 3rd place right now. And Jochen Schneider had 2 sentences in a release. So now that means that it looks like the number 9 spot for the 23 campaign might be Dante Van Ziers, who came in from Union SG in Belgium. So we'll keep an eye on that. So there's movement. Follow your sources. Follow. Tier 1 sources. When you see pieces of information today, look at the number of followers. Look for misspelled names. Look for all those kinds of things when it comes to sources and who's going and who's coming and who might be and who may not be, all that kind of stuff. So keep an eye on all of that stuff today. And Joe Johnston, thank you for the question earlier this morning about all-time starting 11 versus today's starting 11 and what it would look like. Very, very cool stuff. Thank you for that. Soccer on TV. Now that we've done gossip, rumor, and innuendo and things left unsaid, what you can watch today. We'll get into juice boxes here in just a sec. BN and BN and Espanol have Turkish Super League at noon. Coppa Italia on CBS Sports Network at 3 with Inter and Atalanta. Portuguese Primeras at 4:15 on Gold TV. Aruca and Benfica. And you can keep an eye on the Enzo Fernandez situation at 4:15 on Gold TV. If you don't have Gold TV, you can get it at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get Fanatis, you get BN, you get Teise, you get all those networks, and you can pick them up at Fanatis. So Gold TV has Aruca and Benfica at 4:15. Carabao Cup. So the Gummy Bear Cup second semifinals, second leg start at 3 with Newcastle and Southampton. Newcastle with a lead, playing at home. German Cup at noon and 2:30. Paderborn, Stuttgart at noon. Union Berlin, Wolfsburg at 2:30. Paramount Plus has your simulcast of the Coppa Italia. Getting into juice boxes for stuff that we've been talking about. And go ahead, and if there's anything else on your mind, go ahead and send it in before we go. And once again, we'll be back at it tomorrow. Power Hour tomorrow. Power Hour tomorrow, because remember, national signing dates, the OG signing day, as Ricky Ricardo says. So after 10:05, I have to change clothes and run like hell to GPB for our coverage of National Signing Day. And we'll be live on Facebook and all the social media channels for GPB at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So tomorrow is a power hour with me and Jarrett going through everything from the survival of the European transfer deadline day. So we'll go through that for an hour. Then it's National Signing Day. Then later the afternoon, our friends from Des Moines, the 1v1 with them, that gets posted to the network as well. So later today, 1v1 with Duluth FC and Shusty. And then 5:30, it is Woodward Academy Tri-Cities on the boys' side for our third or fourth season. I think it's our fourth season of high school Game of the Week action. So that'll be live on the network as well, so set your notifications. Okay. Right now, as always, Middle East, North Africa going on early in the morning or has already been completed. You've got World Friendlies, African Nations Championship playoffs at 11 o'clock. Algeria, big favorite over Niger at a -172. North Africa continues the DFB Pokal at noon. Stuttgart on the road is a favorite at a +136 over Paderborn at a +184. More friendlies in the noon hour. Serie C is in the early afternoon. Eredivisie on the women's side, PSV and Twente. Twente is a big favorite at a -400. More friendlies, more State Cup, more stuff in England with lower divisions, more Eredivisie women. Paços Ferreira and Gil Vicente in the Liga Portugal. That's at 2 o'clock. Gil Vicente is a favorite at a +137. Luton Town and Cardiff. Luton Town a +102 in the championship. Cardiff is a +294 toward the bottom of the table. FA Cup, Birmingham and Blackburn. Birmingham a +150. Haven't heard any other updates on the George Bello possible move to Birmingham City. Blackburn a +190. Your draws a +224. Lower division stuff in England at 245 as well. FA Trophy League Two's got a couple of matchups. National League is also at 245. National League North, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th divisions all the way through in the afternoon. Ligue 2 is going on at 245. Everybody's in action there. Union Berlin, Wolfsburg in the DFB Pokal at 245. Union Berlin's a +131. Your draw is a +220. Scottish Premiership, Scottish Cup is going on. EFL Cup, Newcastle, big favorite at home against Southampton. No surprise at 3 o'clock at a -263. Inter in the Coppa Italia at 3 is a +110 at home against Atalanta. Serie C continues at 3 o'clock. Colombia, Portugal, Campeonatos in Brazil. Liga de Expansión in the Clausura in Mexico at 6:05. Colombia, Primera America de Cali's in action at home as a big favorite, almost a -200. More Campeonatos, more Liga de Expansión at 10 and 10:05. Atlante, Zacatecas, Dorados, and Pumas Tabasco. So that is your viewing habits, your juice boxes, and everything going on. So obviously keep an eye on your Tier 1 sources today. And we'll be back at it tomorrow to discuss what happened, what hasn't happened, what might be happening. Because remember, just because today is the end of the European transfer window does not mean it is the end of the transfer possibilities, probabilities, and windows for Major League Soccer and Atlanta United. Keep an eye on Yakimakis. Keep an eye on Abram. George Bello. We keep an eye on that. We keep an eye on all the stuff that we've been talking about all morning long. And once again, thanks to all of y'all for being a part of it every single morning here at SDH. For Jarrett, for Jason, for Nick, I'm just John. We'll do it again. Power Hour tomorrow at 9:05. 1v1 with Duluth FC coming up later this afternoon. High school coming up this afternoon at 5:30. So for everybody here at SDH, play it safe. Mucha plot, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us for another day of SDH. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll do it again tomorrow.